Hey everybody, we're back. It's Alan Elondia. It's 8121 Talk.
Yep.
And today we're going to discuss haterism. Is that a word?
I mean, it's been made into a word. Yeah, haterism.
Okay, but the question is, when is it hate and when is it honest observation?
When is it?
Right, that is the question, huh?
Right.
Okay.
But the thing is why are we even talking about this subject as far as, because when is it hate? Because I think it's become...
Everything is hate.
Yeah, everything. When it might just be honest observation.
Right.
But because you don't understand, agree, or you just stating what you see,
then it's hate.
It's hate. All right,
we'll get into it.
We're gonna have a real show tonight. Been a little different from the way that most of the shows been going down.
It's Alan Elondia.
Do everything with our heart and do it good. We'll be recording live tonight.
It's the moment that all of you've been waiting for. It's the moment that all of you've been waiting for.
Yo, Al, what's that?
Alan Elondia has got to be more careful.
Hate?
Hate.
Or what's the other one?
Honest
Observation.
Have you been called a hater before?
Plenty times.
Yeah, me too.
Plenty times where and it's crazy because sometimes there was a question asked and you just
Gave your answer.
Yeah, an analytical one, and it turned into, oh man, you hater.
You just a hater.
I ain't no hater.
But why I'm a hater?
I don't know. Maybe sometimes it's because you are saying something other than the way that person see it.
Right, but people say they want your honest opinion.
Do they really?
Give me your honest opinion. But then when you give them your honest opinion, the next thing you know, oh man, whatever, you just hating.
Yeah. This when someone says like, you just hate, does that hurt you?
It really depends on who it's coming from.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah, it depends on who it's coming from. Yeah.
Because instantly you're thrown into the villain.
Right. But then it's like, if we're friends, right? If we're friends, then I expect you to be honest with me, because don't let me go out there looking crazy. Like if I look at you and say, babe, I look okay? And I have a booger hanging out my nose and you be like, yeah, you look good.
Yes. And that was an honest observation. I looked at you and I saw something on you that socially is just not something that needs to be going on. But the problem starts is when I go a step further, when you're analytical to something. Like you might say, do I look okay? Okay, there's no booger. But I might say, you shouldn't wear that dress because blah, 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 blah.
Which you have.
Right. But there's some people will be like, I look good in this dress. Really? Okay,
you told me not to wear that striped dress, the horizontal stripes.
Leave it alone.
What'd I do with the dress?
I don't remember.
I threw it away.
And the reason I didn't remember, because when I said it, there was no malice.
No, and I said, I don't look right in this dress, and you said, nah. I said, okay.
It's a wrap.
Yeah, and I threw the dress away.
Right. But see, here's the other thing about, hate. Some people, we spoke about practice makes perfect. And then I like to add in what somebody taught me was, no perfect practice makes perfect.
Yes, because you can practice the wrong way. And you're never going to get perfect.
Right. So say if someone is doing something that monetarily they might have gain from, or attention, meaning the way they wear their clothes, or whatever the case may be. And they've been doing this for so long. And they might have gotten some untruthful observations.
Right.
And they think, I'm doing it. And then you come along, and you say, And then the first thing out of their mouth is hate.
Oh, man, you hating.
Hate. Can we get into the root of hate?
Sure.
What does that actually mean?
Oh, no.
Hate. That means
dislike.
A strong dislike.
A strong dislike.
You don't like, it's not about liking what they're doing. You don't like them.
Right.
How dare you say that? Like, I don't like you, therefore I'm tearing down everything around you. What?
I'm sitting here thinking, have I really hated on somebody?
I have. But I really didn't like them. So, but it had nothing to do with their trajectory, their track of wherever they're heading to. I just didn't like you, right? In that case, hate. I'm a hater. But I don't have a situation where I saw someone's technique for getting to where they're going, because that's big in mine. That's why I keep referring to it. Someone's technique for getting where they got to get in life. And I'm going, yo, that ain't it. Oh, you a hater.
No. No, sometimes you just really being honest. You just point out stuff. But in today's society, anytime you go against anyone, well, I'm not going to say anyone, the majority of people, when you go against their ideas, or their beliefs, or whatever the way they're doing something, then they say you're hating, but it's not that. So you can't even really have a healthy conversation or debate with anyone now, because no one wants to debate anything.
You can't have a healthy but also a truthful conversation.
Right.
So it makes conversations superficial. It makes conversations not real.
Right. Man. I mean, because no two people are going to agree on everything. Right.
Right. But there can be, and to use your word, there can be a healthy disagreement.
I think the most thing that I hear or read or whatever when I hear people say, oh, you hating, is say, for instance, we're watching a video.
Right.
Of some big booty woman shaking, twerking, whatever. Okay. And I say, it really don't look as good as you think it does.
Yeah.
And not only because it don't look as good, but you're putting forth a certain image that you might not want to.
That's where it gets tricky at.
And then you'll get, it's my body. I can do whatever I want to. You can. But then when it comes back, like if you're a professional and you have videos out here, or like in the Army, when we used to have the military ball.
Yeah.
And then when the soldiers, the NCOs, the officers start drinking too much.
Yeah.
And then they just get loose, and it's like, oh my goodness, did you see Sergeant Major so-and-so? Or did you see Captain so-and-so? And then when the other people see that, and then we're back in the office on Monday morning in uniform, it's like, oh, you look at them a little bit different.
Yeah.
And you can't be mad, or that person can't be mad because they look at you different when you did it.
Right.
So you can't be mad, but then you get it in your mind, that person say, oh, they just hating on me because I can do this, or I'm confident enough in myself to do this and everything. No, I'm just really trying to tell you that
your conduct,
if you want people to take you seriously Monday morning, maybe on Friday night, you shouldn't act a certain way.
Right.
That's it. That's all.
And does that make you a hater?
No, I don't think it makes me a hater, but that other person would probably say that I'm a hater. But I'm not hating, not at all. I just trying to help you stay professional and not damage your reputation, I guess you would say.
You're making an honest observation. You understand the consequences to their actions.
Right.
You understand that it's not conducive to your position in the United States military. You thought it out. But the way that they process it,
right,
it might not be.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is. It is.
I sometimes it makes you shell shocked. Or today they might say PTSD. What's the word they say now? Remember back in the day it was shell shock.
Yeah, PTSD.
PTSD.
Yeah.
It gives you have PTSD from a prior experience, and now you don't want to be honest.
It's hard. You
and
don't know when you can and when, and
you have to be selective with who you're being honest with.
Yes.
The days of just walking up on somebody and being like, "Oh, that ain't it, bro."
Yeah, that's over with. I don't even think there's ever really been a time where you could do that, but there's less of a time now that you can do that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Less of a time.
Yeah, does that make sense? Less of a time or less possibility?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And me, I don't understand when you do give an honest observation to something, and not only does a person disagree with you, they hold it. It's like they need to make you that villain. Like you might hear boxers or basketball players say, they say it about Kobe, right? Kobe or Michael Jordan rather, would find anything to make you the villain to motivate himself. And that's fine. Michael Jordan went on to greatness. But that person, they're not Michael Jordan. So you villainizing me because I gave you an honest observation. And in the process, I made myself feel so bad. Like, am I hating?
Right. Then you start questioning yourself. Am I hating or was I really being honest? And where did that come from?
Was I being harshly honest? Should I have tapered it off a little bit? How do I say it the next time? PTSD.
That's crazy. That is crazy because it makes you question yourself, and then it makes you not want to give an honest opinion anymore.
You don't.
You just kind of go along with it. The person asks you a question, and you be like, "Yeah, that's a good idea. Go with that. Yeah, go ahead."
And also, what's crazy about it, maturation within all of this. The older you get, you understand that everything is not to be said.
Exactly.
And you get selective with who you say these things to.
Exactly.
But I'm going to tell you when it hits me in the chest. It's when I think. We at that level where I can say it to someone.
Right. And then they throw that in your face.
And I can't.
You're hating.
Yeah. Ooh, it's a tough one. But the question is, when you sit back and look at it, a lot of people live by the creed of live and let live. Meaning what you do is what you want to do. I ain't got nothing to do with that. Right? So at what point do you examine hate and honest observation and you say, that's what you want to do, whatever? When do you close that door and be like, hey, whatever?
I don't know, because I think I'm of that creed, live and let live.
Right.
Because I can't judge anybody. But is
honest observation judging?
No.
Okay.
Honest observation is not judging, but I'm just saying live and let live. I'm like, if it's not affecting my immediate surrounding or my household or what have you, if you ask me for my opinion, I'm gonna give it to you. But then if you don't agree with my opinion, or you don't want my opinion, or you say, "Oh, you're just hating," then I'm like, whatever, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a
do what you do.
Wow, someone might be listening right now, and we might be making all the sense on the planet. But I want to put out there that what we're talking about is not necessarily a 1, 2, 3 answer.
Oh, and it's not.
No, it's not. It can be tough.
Yeah, because it's subjective.
It's very subjective. And subjectivity, I think, my personal opinion, is what has a lot of people in trouble. You can think what you want to think, but I know I'm really. 1 second. So if you think you are that, and I think I'm that, and they think they're that,
right?
Where is that level of, like they said, there's 3 sides to the truth, right? There's your side, their side, and the actual truth.
And what really happened.
Yeah. Okay. So if all 3 of these people, A, B, and C, think I am that thing in this situation, where is that me and my man was talking about it. There is a gauge, a Rubik, right? Where, these things make you the truth. Do you check those boxes? Where is that? It doesn't exist like that anymore. Because of the individualism, social media, all these things, you can say what you want to say, right? And for someone to question you on it, you just a hater.
And we've said that plenty of times. I think we did a podcast about that. You can say what you want to say, and you can, but there are consequences.
There are consequences and repercussions,
right?
Old comedians would say, there's consequences and repercussions to everything. And sometimes just putting it out there warrants repercussions and consequences. Because I could come to you and say, I am the best podcaster in the world. And according to your personal Rubik's, you can say, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
And I can come back and say, oh, man, you just hating. There go. It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. I guess when you give your honest opinion or observation, when you make it, when you deliver it to that person,
right,
you have to, as you always say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I guess it has to be how you say it.
I think so.
Because I know that while I was in the military, there were some people that said I was a little rough. And I can remember at one church I was at, and I was the, wow, the name just went right out of my head.
Well, I don't know.
Oh my goodness. I can't even think of the actual title. But anyway, it was the pastor's aide. I was the pastor's aide.
Okay.
And so sometimes, I had to get up in front of the church and say, hey, okay, we need to do this. We got to get this, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And someone told me that my delivery was rough. It was like, you're telling us, like, making us, you know what I'm saying? Like, you came off like, y'all better do this, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like I was asking. It was like I was telling them. And that's just me. But then I had to think about it the next time I got up and
deliver it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think me and you are a lot alike. And people will mistake my melancholy ways as being evil or antisocial or a hater. Because my reactions is so much melancholy in my character that you might be doing something that's, oh my God, standing ovation. And I might be like, that silence and just looking at you. But in my fairness, I might be saying in my head, like, that was crazy. But it's not crazy in a bad way. I mean, that was dope. But I just don't, it doesn't come out like other people. But I'm not hating. The reason I bring that up is because I also realize you can't take that full blame on yourself. My throat is itching like crazy.
You didn't bring any water.
You can't take that full blame on yourself because sometimes people are pre-wired. So,
meaning,
you do what you do. If they're not pre-wired, conditioned mentally in a certain way, they would even process what you're doing because they would be listening to the message. I'm not saying that's everybody,
right?
But most people are pre-wired. Like, oh, he talking to me like, hey man, that's something you walked in the door with. That's some other baggage. I disseminated the right word. I disseminated the information. I explained what needed to be done and blah, 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 blah. But because I didn't seal it with a kiss in a higher tone, one of those type of tones, you sitting there processing it in a certain way. I know we got off, but I needed to throw that out there because I had a situation where someone told me that I was mean and that they saw me and didn't want to speak because I was looking mean.
I look mean all the time.
And I mentioned this on the podcast before, and I said to them, if what you wanted to talk to me about was something of substance, and it's not being arrogant, doesn't matter how I look. The example is, if you know I owe you $200-$300 and you see me walking across the street and I'm ice grilling, you're going to come over there.
Right, and ask for your money.
Right. So if you wasn't talking about nothing, you will use my physical characteristics or my whatever, how I carry myself to make an excuse.
Your demeanor.
Now, let's tie that back in so we don't get too far off subject.
Right.
I just need to say that. Now, instead of me examining myself, which I did, I called myself melancholy. I called myself introverted. We had a podcast about that. There's different types of introverts. But if I wasn't in that analytical phase, guess what I would have said? You a hater.
You hating. Right.
You a hater.
Right.
I'm just fine. You just a hater.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's the way it happens.
Yeah.
You know, I'm doing facial expressions like people can see me. Look.
Yeah, me too.
but that's the way it happens, and it's a very complex thing. But the problem is, so many people have fell into that way of thinking because it's comfortable and allowing you to do what you want to do. That when someone comes along and they go, whoa, wait, no, that's not what it is. You are in the minority.
Right.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, sometimes I don't know how to articulate things because they get, jarbled up because I got like 8 million words and only like Twitter, like 200 characters to say it. But sometimes you're the minority in this. So, which is why I believe the word hate is so big out there. It can be a topic on a song. It can be the subject in writing. It could be what a movie is about. No one believed in me. They was all hating. When technically it could have been constructive criticism along the way.
Constructive criticism.
Right?
Yeah.
But you needed to be there or hating on me.
Right.
You know something that's funny, and I'm going to be quiet. I want you to talk about this. One of the shows that I first enjoyed when I watched it, it lasted for a while, maybe a couple of seasons. For me. Was American Idol.
Oh, okay.
And I used to watch that show. And at first I thought it was funny, then it became sad. Not the actual idols, the 12 that they choose in the end, 10 or 12. It was the auditions. Because people would come in, right? And they would sing. And you have Simon, Randy, and who else is on there? Paul at first, right? Paul Abdul.
Yeah.
Paul Abdul, whoever else is on there. And they would literally sit there in front of you and say, bruh, you ain't got it.
Right.
And this person would get mad. What do you mean? My mama told me I could sing. Your mama lied to you.
Right.
Here is 3 judges giving you an honest observation.
Right.
Right. And they would be like, oh. And so I've seen some people walk.
And say they hating.
Yep. And come back in the room like, are y'all sure? Dude, you ain't hit.
Right.
What?
And then that's hard, right?
Yeah.
Because you say, I know some people would probably say, and I think Simon talked about it before, it's like he doesn't want to be a dream crusher, but he wants that person to be aware of their capabilities as they are.
You can only get awareness through truth.
Right.
You have to.
But I think that if someone can't sing, then as a judge, it is your responsibility to let them know, no, you're not ready yet. Go,
right.
And take some voice lessons, work on it. You know,
I was about to speak on that, and it's not about when you're judge, keyword, which I asked you earlier about judge. But when you're in that seat, it's not about constructive criticism at that point. It's about keeping the show going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, you can't sing. It's not about, well, you need to work on your vibrato. It's not about that. It's about, you can't sing. And for the purpose of this show, American Idol, next.
Right.
But I've seen some of those people that were bounced from the auditions that will stand outside, and I forgot the other guy's name, Ryan Seacrest. When
he interviewed him.
Hater.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Yeah. What? Dude, you can't sing. Everybody in the country heard it. But you're bugging, like you were sitting here going, yes, I can.
Right.
You touched something earlier, and I want you to expand on it so we can get out of here.
What was that?
Bodies, women.
Bodies, okay.
Big booties, women.
Yeah.
Scantily, how do you say it? Scantily?
Yeah.
Dressed stuff.
Yeah.
If you went to a young woman and you said to her, I'm not saying you don't have a body.
Right.
But you shouldn't do that. What's your thought process when you say that?
Not hating. It's not hating. It's more, like I said, helping you to protect your reputation. Because if you present yourself a certain way, then you're more than likely not going to get that respect that you should have, or that you're going to need in the position that you're in, right. Whatever. And so it's not about I'm hating, but there's a time and place for everything.
Right.
And sometimes you do things in the wrong place. And then as far as like going to the club and stuff like that, when you are in a certain organization, not just the military, but some big corporations, they have, what is it called? Ethics, yeah. Ethic clauses and everything. You have to conduct yourself a certain way because the way you conduct yourself in public reflects on that business.
Right.
And that business don't want people to see you and think that you represent that business and these are the values or whatever of that business,
right?
Or that organization.
Determining what is value is determined by that business. Let me break that down. Let me say it again. Determining, you can't go and work for a company and collect the money and do whatever you do
and then get mad
and then say, I got my own values,
or I do what I want to do. They can't tell me what to do.
Right.
Well, then don't work for them.
So if you're outside of working for a company or something, there has to be values, but in the case of personally, we call them morals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as I was saying, it's not about me hating. You got a big booty. I'm gonna give credit where credit due, because I'm quick to say, like when we be going to the store and stuff, I say, "Oh, she's so pretty," or whatever.
Right.
But sometimes you just can't do everything. Look a certain way. You can't be twerking everywhere and everything sometimes. And then when you tell her, "Hey sis, that's not a good look right now,"
you're a hater.
Yeah, I'm a hater.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because there's two responses to it. See, a female telling another female's a hater, right? But then a guy saying it is a different response.
What's the response that you get as a guy telling a female not to do that?
Most of the times the girls will say, either you not something that I would put my attention to, or you ain't doing nothing with me, or you ain't taking care of me, and this is mine, but I can do what I want to do. It's different with guys, but that has nothing to do with him.
Right.
That's something else.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted to hear your thought process on that, because sometimes I just seen a young lady on Instagram that was basically saying what you were saying. There's a time and a place for everything. What's considered appropriate or what is considered standard. She used another word, and I apologize, I can't think of it. That is determined by the crowd that you're in.
Yeah.
Right? So in other words, if you're in a sugar shack, it might be appropriate.
Right.
But then if you're in church, it is inappropriate. But then there's also that third side where, okay, choosing the time and a place where it is appropriate.
Right.
And going to someone and going, what I just said,
yep. And
it's not appropriate here.
It's nothing about hate.
Hate.
But that's what you'll be labeled, a hater.
Is hate directly not hate? Yes, hate.
Mm-hmm.
Is hate sort of a relative of attention? I don't know how to word it, but by way, if you stop or you tell someone you shouldn't do that, are they viewing it as you're just mad because I'm getting attention? You trying to stop my attention?
Maybe. It could be.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Interesting, because I always, I've been struggling with attention lately by way of other stuff. And like I was just telling you in the garage earlier, I've always considered myself to be, how do I say it? I always thought that in order to be, I needed to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was telling you earlier, I'm starting to think or feel like, no, I need peace to be.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever springs from the B, B-E, could be determined as success subjectively.
Right.
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 My approach to being, if based on success, if my approach to being, I'm doing it, and then you come along and you say your approach is then you might get hate. Like we were saying about you on being the pastor's aide, or me walking down the street, right? It's how it's being said.
Right.
And when I come along and I say, that's not what you should be doing, that's not cool, or you're sending a message to your child, or you're sending a message to your community, and a person might say, oh, you just hating. Go back to what I think the point I'm trying to make is, before you even open your mouth and said it, that person was wired
okay,
a certain way, to hear it a certain way. Not honest observation, not constructive criticism. They was already wired. They don't want to hear that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
What do you think? Before we close out.
I mean, I can see that.
8121 Talk. We hear. Not every day.
Not every day. Well, we're here every day. We're just not on the mic every day.
Not every day. Maybe not even every week.
Right.
But when we hear because our conversations are actually real deal conversations that we talk about. We talk about them through trying to understand. We talk about them through failure. We talk about them through experience. This is not a scripted show.
No, it's not.
The only thing scripted is what you think we're going to talk about. But everything else, it is exactly what you hear.
Is what you get.
It is what you get.
It's Alan Elandi. You got to be more careful.
We're going to have a real show tonight. A little different from the way most of the show's been going down. Now do everything with our heart and do it good. We'll be recording live tonight.
It's the moment that all of you've been waiting for. It's the moment that all of you